My name is Matt Neese. I'm the policy coordinator for South Carolina for CFSA.
And I'm Jalen Cates. I work in the policy shop in North Carolina for CFSA. And one of the issues that we've been hearing a lot about from our members in the past couple of years are around the bottlenecks and obstacles in the meat and poultry processing industry. So, Matt, can we get into a little bit about meat today? What do you want to share with us about this issue?
I would be happy to. It's safe to say that whenever we poll our members, one of the issues that consistently ranks towards the top of their policy concerns is meat processing. Why is it a concern? There are massive bottlenecks and hangups and red tape around the existing meat processing industry, both state and federal. And so I'd like to talk just a little bit about why that is and how we got there. Basically, under the current law, meat that's offered for retail sale, whether it's at a farmer's market, a farm stand, a grocery store, wherever you can buy meat, that meat must be butchered under the supervision of USDA. Not only a USDA food safety employee or a state equivalent food safety employee. Well, as most of you watching this probably know, there aren't many options out there. I know down here in South Carolina, there's only two, and they're both on opposite sides of the state. As a result, the lack of plants usually means a lack of available options and appointments for our meat producers, not just in the Carolinas, but nationwide. What does that mean? That means months long wait times. A lot of these meat processors, hours long drive times just to get to a facility where you could hopefully be seen. There are locations throughout the country that are known as custom exempt slaughterhouses. But essentially, if they don't have USDA inspection or a state equivalent, the meat that's butchered at those custom exempt slaughterhouses has to stay with the original owner. What does that mean? So think deer hunters. You bring your animal to the processor, they process it, you receive the meat. You can't then go and sell that to somebody else. So as you can see, it creates kind of a bottleneck with available qualifying processors that producers can take their livestock to.
Yeah, it's such a huge issue. At the CFSA conference this past weekend, I was speaking with a board member of ours who was having to wait until next July, about 8 months away, to schedule to process her hogs. So it's a huge issue. And I think that's even down from wait times that were like over a year. So what role does the Farm Bill have in this? How can policy change help fix these bottlenecks and wait times?
Well, because most of the red tape and the problems around meat processing originates at the federal level in terms of the restrictions, the Farm Bill is the obvious choice for how we're going to try to modify these policies or make policy change. And we're going to do that, hopefully, in the 2023 Farm Bill via marker bills. Now, we've touched on marker bills in past videos, but just a refresher, marker bills are bills that stand no chance of passing on their own, but they're the nucleus that a lot of efforts for the policy change can kind of form around before it's then rolled into a larger omnibus or a larger package like the Farm Bill. One of the most important marker bills for meat processing moving forward is called the Strengthening Local Processing Act. What is SLPA? SLPA is a bipartisan meat processing reform bill that does a lot of things, but essentially it increases cost share for state meat inspection programs. There's a grant program to expand small and very small meat processing plants. There's workforce development grants, and more. So all of this is designed to just give consumers and producers more options. But also do that in a safe way that doesn't compromise food safety. So there's this delicate dance that has to happen when it comes to meat processing, because while the current situation is untenable for producers, there has to be a reform that also takes into account food safety and producer safety, and also worker safety for the meat processors to make sure that the reform is done in a safe way. And SLPA is one of the best ways to do that.
Yeah, I think that's just to be clear, we're not advocating for reforms to regulation that makes it easier for, lines to go quicker and for, meat safety, meat workers to be pushed harder. These are not, we're talking about small independent slaughterhouses that are selling to small independent producers who don't have contracts and aren't vertically integrated. And what this bill really is putting more resources towards the development of those small slaughter systems. So like the vocational training, it's a huge deal. I know in the Piedmont area, there's a slaughter facility near us that works with small farmers, and they are constantly having this challenge of training workers and keeping folks in their kind of employment line. So important to support these smaller lines through investments and through smart regulation. So that's great. So how can our members, how can farmers, how can consumers get involved in efforts for advocacy around this marker bill?
Well, the best way to make sure SLPA is rolled into a larger farm bill package is to make sure that to increase the number of sponsors as much as possible. So it's currently got bipartisan sponsorship, but the more congressional sponsors we get added onto this bill, the higher chance it will be rolled into a larger bill. So what we need from you is to call and email your representatives, call and email your senators, and really put the pressure on them to sign on SLPA as a sponsor. Because again, the more we can stack the deck with sponsors on both sides of the aisle for SLPA, the higher chance it's going to get rolled into the Farm Bill for next year. So what we really need you to do is just reach out to your representatives, reach out to your senators. You can check INSAC's website. You can check CFSA's website. We've got a great write-up on there as to how SLPA will affect the meat processing industry and affect it in a positive way. So there's plenty of talking points out there. We'll help get you marching orders and get you plugged into your elected officials and try to stack the deck and get as many sponsors as possible.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Well, we'll include links to all those things with this so you can get in touch and have the information. And again, please reach out to us, and we are more than willing to help you in your advocacy, support you in reaching out and making that ask for that sponsorship, which is so important. So thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you again on our next Farm Bill update video. Bye, y'all.